We've talked on the YouTube channel about Uncharted and this franchise from past, present, to where we could be seeing it potentially go in the future. And I want to talk, guys, specifically about Uncharted 5, or I guess you could consider it Uncharted 6 if you kind of connect like the Lost Legacy and all of that. But we're going to talk about where could the story potentially go if an Uncharted 5 does release. So where do we stand right now? Before we kind of move into the future of Uncharted, we got to talk about where we are right now. So number one, Naughty Dog, the developers of the Uncharted series, are certainly probably talking about an Uncharted 5, the potential of it, because of course the Uncharted movie is going to be coming out, and what better way to continue a franchise from like a movie perspective? You have a couple of the biggest stars in all of Hollywood, that being Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg, in the up-and-coming Uncharted movie, which I think looks absolutely fantastic just from the trailers, but I'm really excited about that. So what would be a better way to continue this? Maybe Naughty Dog's thinking to themselves, well, let's see how the movie does, and if there's a really good reception around it, we can start greenlighting Uncharted 5. But that being said, Naughty Dog at this point in time is working on what people believe to be The Last of Us Part 2's multiplayer at this point in time, or potentially a Last of Us Part 3, which makes a lot more sense to me than them necessarily working on Uncharted 5, because The Last of Us is certainly their biggest franchise at this point. Now, I believe that Naughty Dog should split their team up so that some of them are working on at least initial concepts of Uncharted 5, and then on the flip side that have the majority of the team working on The Last of Us Part 2's multiplayer and The Last of Us Part 3. So that leaves us with Uncharted 5 being, okay, the guys who are working on this, and this is all speculation, guys. Let's say that you have a team of people that are working on concept art, pre-production, things of that nature. Where could the series go at this point in time? We know that A Thief's End was the end of, Nathan Drake and his tenure as the main character. But who's to say that maybe the torch could be passed in this next one from Nathan to his daughter, Cassie, or to someone else? So Cassie, his daughter, or whoever it may be, guys. I believe that what needs to happen here, and I kind of, I compare this to other games out there, similar to God of War. We have God of War Ragnarok that's going to be coming out, and I believe that Kratos needs to pass his torch on to his son, who is up and coming now, maybe in that game. Because, guys, there comes a point where some of these characters, they kind of almost last too long as the main character. I'll give you an example. Gears of War is a title that is one of my favorite franchises of all time. We had a multitude of different games as Marcus Phoenix, the main character, and then what did we see when the series came back in the form of Gears of War 4? Marcus passed the torch on to JD, his son, and then you play as JD Phoenix in Gears of War 4, and Marcus is still there as a character, but he's a side character. He's older. You can still play as him in the multiplayer, but JD is the focal point. And then what happened from there, Gears of War 4 to Gears of War 5, of course, JD Phoenix passes the torch on to Kate Diaz, who is, of course, the main character now in Gears 6. And we're assuming she's going to be the main character moving into Gears 7, and so on and so forth. So, that being said, guys, I compare that to where we are here with Uncharted. I believe that there needs to be a passing of the torch from Nathan to his daughter Cassie, and she kind of takes the throne and takes the charge of wherever the story could go. I think there's a million different directions it could go in, kind of like a one last ride for Nathan Drake in Uncharted 5, and as he's passing that torch on to his daughter, she kind of takes the helm and moves the series forward into a direction, whether it's new or she kind of reminisces of the past of what Nathan did. Whatever it is, guys, I think there's a million directions that they could take. Where do you think it's going, Alyssa? If they were to bring out Uncharted 5, do you think Nathan would still be the focal point? Do you think his daughter would be a part of it? Do you think they would go maybe 5-10 years after the end of Uncharted 5? Or Uncharted 4?
Well, I think Nathan's done. I mean, the way the fourth game ended, I think his story is over. He doesn't want to do it anymore. He doesn't want to, find treasure and all that stuff. But I think if Cassie That's her name, right? I think it's Cassie.
I can't quite remember.
Yeah, I think his daughter, if it continues on with her, I think he could make a cameo in the game, like help her or, that kind of thing. But I think Nathan's story is done because him and Elena, they kind of decided that they didn't want to do it anymore because it's dangerous. And, at the end of the fourth game, he found that pirate ship he'd been looking for. And, but also, I don't know, I think there's characters that they could keep around. Like in the fourth game, sorry if you haven't played it, this is going to be something that you maybe didn't know. But he realized in the first 3 games, he thought his brother was dead. And then in the fourth game, he found out that he wasn't dead. He came back to him because he needed his help. And so that was like a whole different thing. And then we played as them as younger versions of them. And so that was kind of cool. We kind of learned their story. But I think even Sam could come back and be part of the game somehow. And then you have the Uncharted Lost Legacy where it's Chloe and Nadine who are, Nathan Drake wasn't even in it. He was mentioned in the game, but he's not in it. But they could even bring them back into the game to help his daughter or whatever. I think they could go multiple different directions. But it's almost like the legacy continues with his daughter. It's like, I don't know. And maybe if they do it 10 years later, maybe he had other children and they were part of it too. I mean, I don't know. It could go multiple different directions, but I do think they need to come out with a new Uncharted game. I've played all 4, well, I guess technically 5 Uncharted games, probably 3 or 4 times through. Because I love the games. I love the story. I haven't played the Lost Legacy as many times as I've played the regular Uncharted games, but it's still fun. Because I always liked Chloe as a character. But the Uncharted games, I've played them multiple times. Each one multiple times. Each one is still as fun as the first time I played it. And I think I really like the puzzle aspect of the games because I'm really good at puzzles and I like having to figure that kind of stuff out. So I don't know where they're going to go with it. But I do hope they continue the story. I think they should. But I think what's going to happen with the movie is I think the movie is going to bring like the Uncharted series kind of back. Because I think right now it's kind of just like people, they played the games years ago and now they're just like, they kind of forgot about it. And now I think the movie's going to kind of revive it. And then they're going to be like, okay, now we're coming out with a new game.
Yeah. And for me, guys, this has been something that I've said on the YouTube channel for a while, that I felt that Uncharted was so good, was perfect from 1 to 4. I just don't want that I just don't want it to be over. Like, I don't want it to be a series that just dies, especially with the latest installment. I know you like The Lost Legacy. I was not a fan whatsoever of really the direction that they went in. I thought that the first 4 were perfect. And I would have liked to see like a continuation of that. I thought the Lost Legacy, it just kind of felt lost. Like it wasn't really necessarily originally meant to be like coming as the 5th game. I just felt that really what they should have done was kind of picked up where they left off at the end of 4 with the daughter, or like a couple of years later or something of that nature.
The Lost Legacy was supposed to be the 5th game. I think it was supposed to be a spin-off.
Yeah, it's a spin-off, but I'm saying I don't like that being the last memory I have of Uncharted. I want them to at least...
It came out before Uncharted 4, though.
Did it?
I think so.
I don't think so. I think it came out after Uncharted 4. Yeah, I think it was the last game that came out so far in the Uncharted series.
Yeah, I definitely think it wasn't the greatest of the games. I only played it because I had played all the other ones and I knew the characters and I just wanted to see what it was like. It was still fun. It was still your action game, and they were treasure hunting kind of like Nathan Drake did. It just wasn't Nathan Drake. And that was kind of sad because the whole story is based on Nathan Drake. But I think he's done. I don't think he needs to be in any of the other games. I think they gave him a good ending, the way the 4th game ended. And then when they introduced his daughter, I even thought to myself, oh my gosh, like they could bring her into it. Like she could be now the new Nathan Drake and just as his daughter. So I think they should definitely look into it. If they don't come out with another Uncharted game, I'm going to be really disappointed because like he said, I don't think they ended it well with The Lost Legacy. Like if they were going to end the series, they should have just ended it on Uncharted 4.
Right.
and then just been done with it. I think the Lost Legacy, I think they made it and it didn't get as much hype as they thought it was going to get. Like as much attention as like all the other Uncharted games did.
Yeah, I just thought, like I said, it being the latest game in the franchise, I just don't like it being the last one, where we don't know if like they're ever going to come back to Uncharted. Maybe Naughty Dog's thinking, you know what, we're done with Uncharted, we're moving on to The Last of Us, and then maybe even a new IP after that altogether. You know, there does come a point where, you know, you almost overstay your welcome in a franchise, where then it becomes just, you know, you want to keep the creative juices flowing, and The Last of Us is really what Naughty Dog's like latched onto in a huge way. Not that Uncharted overstayed its welcome, I just don't like that The Lost Legacy was the last imprint or thought that we have of Uncharted. I feel like it needs to have a continuation of some sorts and like a true ending to the entire Nathan Drake, whether it's Nathan Drake, his daughter, or whoever, just a total end to the Uncharted series as we know it.
I also think the movie, what it might do, if they don't have the work in the works for a new Uncharted game, I think the movie may actually revive the series, because people who haven't played the series are going to say, oh, well, what's the backstory of Nathan Drake? Where did we get him? Where did he come from? And then they may want to play the games. So it's actually may revive the whole series in general, because they're going to be like, well, where did this come from? Where is, you know, and it came from a video game. And so maybe it's going to make more people actually play the Uncharted series. And then Naughty Dog's going to be like, oh, this is back. Like, we need to continue it.
Right. But the real question is, guys, is what do you all think about this? Uncharted 5, the continuation of Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Do you think it's ever going to come out? What do you think, or where do you think the story could go? Let us know in the comment section down below. And for more Uncharted 5 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.